and welcome to episode 54 of the Slow Crafting Podcast. My name's Nadine and I'm coming to you today from the northwest of England near Manchester. Now, this is a podcast about incorporating a slow living or slow fashion agenda into all my many makes and creations of a fibre crafting nature, with a view to increasing my handmade wardrobe and also trying to be slightly more sustainable and upcycling and recycling of fabrics, etc. Now, today's episode is all about knitting, but unlike normally, where most of my knitting has been hand knitting, I have got a knitting machine now. I'm very excited about it. I used to have one when I was a little girl. It was one of the Tommy hobby girl ones that was bright pink and absolutely fabulous, and I still have in the garage. And my 7-year-old is desperate to use it, but a few months ago, probably towards the beginning of lockdown, my friend who was part of the knitting group that I used to belong to rang me up to say that she was having a clear out and had a spare knitting machine, and did I want it? Because I think she's had various different knitting machines at different times, and has given some of them away to her granddaughters, but she still had an extra one that she'd been given, so she wanted to pass it on to someone who would use this, and she thought that I would. So very, very eagerly and excitedly I said yes, and yes, I've been getting to grips with that over the last few months and trying to figure out how to work it and how to use it. It's a Brother KH836, possibly. If it's different, I'll put it on the screen below. And yeah, it took a bit of getting used to, but several hundred YouTube videos later, I managed to create something on it. So I'll include some pictures and things of me getting to grips with it and various different attempts at getting my tension right, etc. And I'll talk a bit more later on about what I've been making. Now, this video might be slightly disjointed because I'm having to squeeze in filming between homeschooling, because once again my children are both at home as their class bubbles have closed, so we're doing home learning for the next couple of weeks. My eldest had only actually been back at school for a week and a half after her previous class closure. So yes, it's been a busy old time, and finding time to record has been slightly challenging, but I'll cobble something together somehow. It's a good job I'm not wanting for heavily editing my videos and making them all fancy looking. Never mind. So I'll talk to you about my machine knit makes. I will talk to you about some hand knitting that I've done, because I have done some of that as well, and I will talk to you about some design work that I've done for a local wool producer, which it's been really interesting actually, because I'm used to doing design work for myself and working to my own timescales and my own specifications, but working to somebody else's sort of idea that they have in their head has been quite interesting, and I'll show you what work I've done for her. Right, I'll try and cobble something together, and hopefully the lighting in the rest of the video will be slightly better than it is now, because I'm having to record this late afternoon after we've had a full day of schooling and trying to minimise the view that you can see, so you can't see the chaos and the mess that is the rest of the house. Right, on with the knitting. Right, so the machine knitting that I was doing. Now, I still haven't mastered the art of a gauge swatch on a knitting machine. I'm quite comfortable doing a gauge swatch with hand knits, but for some reason on a knitting machine it bears absolutely no resemblance to my gauge on the final knitted object. So basically I winged it on all three of these garments that I'm about to show you. Some more successful than others, and at times I mangled the edges of my knitting, because I'd go too far and end up with a loop and then it'd all start chewing up. But I just bodged it basically, and thought I'll treat them almost as wearable muslins like you would for dressmaking. It's all learning, it's all practice. I can wear them all. Some of them don't look particularly pretty on the inside, but from the outside they look okay. So my first attempt at a garment was actually following a pattern. I was given a couple of knitting magazines, machine knitting magazines, with the knitting machine when I picked it up from my friend, and there was a pattern in there for a baby's cardigan. Now, my girls aren't babies anymore, but I thought that's a reasonable thing to start with, because it didn't require too much yarn, and I thought I could make it. I could make it out of some of the acrylic stash I had, so it wasn't wasting my good quality yarn, and with it being acrylic it could be machine washable and everything, so it would fit. I'd make it to fit one of their dolls. So that's what I did, and I'll include a picture here. So yeah, that worked out all right. One of the dolls is wearing it. They loved it. They absolutely thought it was brilliant. So that filled me with confidence. Misplaced confidence, that I could just start making things for myself then, without a pattern. So the first thing I made is this red top. Now, if you watch the 5 Dresses and a Million Masks video, you'll have seen this top already, because I'm wearing it on top of one of the dresses I made. So this is the first item I made for myself. It's like a summer tea, so there is slight shaping to it. It's not just square. It's sort of flared at the bottom, shapes into the middle, and then flares out slightly at the top as well, so it comes just over my shoulder, and it's got a slightly lower V-neck at the front than at the back. Now, you'll probably be able to see, I don't know, there is a seam running up the front and up the back. My knitting machine is wonderful and in brilliant condition, apart from one needle, which the latch on it is bent. Now, I have spare needles, and I understand the theory of taking one out and replacing it with a new needle, but I'm too scared to do it. Because to do it I have to take out the sponge bar, and I don't think if I did that I would be in a very good position, because it's likely, because the machine is so old, that the sponge bar will have perished, and once I take it out I will discover that and then have to replace that as well, which I don't have in stock, and I have no idea how to go about sourcing or even replacing once I do get one. So everything I've made has to fit in 1/2 of the machine knitting bed. Look at, well, it's not quite, I think I've got about 2/3 of the width of the machine bed to use before the damaged needle, so I can only make things up to that size. Now unfortunately that meant that I had to work these in sections, so I made 4 sections for each garment, so 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and then seamed it up the sides and up the middle. But when you're wearing them, you can't really see it, it's not noticeable, it looks just like a design feature. It doesn't look like I'm just rubbish. But so I knitted them straight. I didn't knit them straight, I've just told you it's shaped, didn't I? I knitted the main body of the garment, because I'd worked out what I thought my gauge was going to be from that gauge swatch, which I did first, and then I designed a garment around that. So I knew I wanted it, ideally I actually wanted it to be about hip length. This isn't, this is cropped because of the gauge issue. So I did an E cast on, so basically you loop it round the needles in the shape that looks like an E, which was really handy for afterwards, because it meant I could pick up stitches on the bottom and knit a lace section onto the bottom. Now theoretically I could have knit lace on my machine, but 1, I have no idea how to do that yet, and 2, whilst the rest of the machine was complete, it didn't have a lace carriage with it, and I've not yet found one to add to it, because I thought I'd master the basics first before moving on to fancy lace. But if I can manage to do lace on it, I would be very excited, because I absolutely hate knitting lace, but I like how it looks. So being able to do it on a knitting machine rather than by hand would make me so much happier. But anyway, so this is knitted in, it's a cone of yarn, it's a linen cotton blend from wool in it, obviously, because apparently I can't shop anywhere else, and I think it's 60% linen, 40% cotton. Yeah, so you can see it's slightly slubby, which is making that sort of mottled look on it. And it's I think it's a lace weight it comes at. Did I use a single strand or double strand for this? Single strand. Because my machine, sorry, it will knit up to DK weight yarn, but it seems to be happier around the sort of 4-ply area. It will knit like a lace weight, but it's quite an open and airy texture. Look, you can see me through that, can't you? So yeah, I really like this. Unfortunately, it's a bit cold to be wearing it now, unless I wear it on top of stuff, which is what I do. Now I didn't actually finish off the neck or the arm holes, because the edging on the machine knit, it was fine. Sort of the selvage edge, equivalent of a selvage edge, I don't know. Yes. This curl over slightly, so it almost finishes itself, and it's a lot smoother and neater than the edging on one of my hand knits would be. So I'm very happy with this one. This was my original, and I just did a feather and fan lace bit on the bottom after I'd seamed it all together, and that's lovely. So that's that one. Now the next one I did is this one, which is it's a bit hard to see on the screen. It's black but it's got a hint of navy blue in, and it's a very rustic wool. It's, again, sorry, my memory filled up. Right, so I'll try and do this a bit quicker. This is pretty much the same pattern, but then I just added some slightly tapered sleeves on, which have just got a rolled bottom on. Again, it's got the feather and fan on the bottom, and again it was knitted in 4 sections for the body, slightly lower V at the front than at the back, and then just attached the sleeves as drop sleeves. So I should be able to include a picture of that as well. Right, so that's that one, and that's 100% British wool, I think. It was in the chuck out section, so I have no idea what it was, but if there's an equivalent I will put that on screen. Right, and then I got a bit cocky, decided I was going to make a third. And this was with a cone of yarn that I picked up from a charity shop that I made leg warmers with a couple of years ago. So I did another one with sleeves. Now these have got a slight bell sleeve on, but these have got a rib at the end of the sleeves. Now, I was saying about mangling. This is where the edge got mangled on this one, but it's inside so nobody can see it. Now this one is very much cropped, even though I worked it to exactly the same sizing and everything as the others. This was a lot more cropped, and it's got, like I said, a ribbon at the bottom, and I think the flare on this one is a bit more obvious, but I'll include pictures of me wearing both these jumpers somewhere around here. Right, so that was all the outfit, all the garments I made for myself. I then decided that it would be a good idea to make 3 school cardigans for my eldest daughter. The final knitted garment that I'm going to show you today is a hand knit. Now, this is the only hand knit garment I've made recently. It's not the only hand knitting I've done recently, but I'll come to that in a minute. And this I did over the summer, while in about the space of about 2 weeks. Yeah, most of it I got done in the first week while we were on holiday in Wales. And this is it. It's a very cropped jumper. It's the Ranunculus sweater by, I want to say, Midori. Oh, put it underneath. So long since I knitted it, I can't remember. Now, this hand spun, because I've knitted it out of hand spun yarn. In fact, I spun this wool over the course of the pandemic. I spun it earlier on in the summer, and it's fibre that I've had for since we're in the old house, so probably about 5 years. Yeah, do you know, it might even be longer than that, but it's some combed blended top from wool in it, and it's 100% merino, and it's a 2-ply, and it's probably about a DK weight, I think. Yeah, maybe sport to DK weight. Now, the Midori sweater is meant to be knitted in a lace weight yarn on like a 6mm needle or something, or maybe a 5. Got quite a big needle size for the yarn anyway, so it's meant to be oversized and light and airy, and as you can tell, this is not particularly oversized. And if I put a picture of me trying it on before I knitted the sleeves, you can see it's quite tight fitting. Yes, but I don't mind that because I actually like how it fits, even though it's completely nothing like it is in the styling for the photo. But woman in the photos is a very different body shape and size and age to me. So, and it's a one size fits all-ish kind of sweater. So it was always going to fit differently. But I really enjoyed it, even though it's nothing like the pattern looks like on the on the finished pictures. But what I was saying is that there's some sort of lace and texture stitches in the yoke section of it, which you can't really see in this hand spun yarn because it's too busy. So I think if I did it again, which I'd be tempted to do because it was a really quick, easy knit, if I did it again, I'd be tempted to do it in a single colour or a solid coloured yarn. But yes, the sleeves, I worked to size, and they should have been almost full length sleeves because it's meant to sort of, the armpits come almost down to your waist, so it's only sort of the last bit of your arm that has a fitted sleeve on, but obviously it doesn't work like that on my size body. So the sort of elbow length sleeves, which is okay, because it's a DK weight sweater. It's a bit too warm to wear on days where you want your arms uncovered, but at the same time you get chilly arms if you wear it on a cold day. So if I did it again, like I say, I'd do it in a single colour or a solid colour yarn and make the sleeves longer, just to make it a bit more versatile. I like the crop body because I wear it over the dresses that I've made, and that seems to work. It makes my boobs look huge, which is always a bonus. But yes, so I like that very, very much. And I've still got quite a lot of this yarn left. Now, I've spun this yarn twice, well, the fibre, the same fibre twice. So I've got, oh, battery now. I've got a hat and a cowl in this wool as well, and I've got quite a bit left over. So I could have something else matching. Give it a few months and I'll have an entire outfit in hand spun this colour. Not really, that's a bit much even for me. Right, so that's the hand knit sweater that I made, the Ranunculus. I didn't do a gauge swatch, I just knitted it and wore it how it came out. I think it has got a large bust modifications in a separate pattern, but I didn't use those. I probably should have done, but I just thought I'd knit that and see how it went, and possibly at some point next year I might knit it again, like I say, out of a solid coloured yarn. Right, the last two hand knits that I want to talk to you about are the design work that I did for a local wool company, and a baby blanket that I knitted for one of my children's friends' mums, one of the mums from school. Yes, the design work, I've sent it all off now, so I'll have to talk through some of the pictures that I took before I sent it off. So I'll put that here, and then I will talk through the pictures of the blanket, because I took some pictures before I sent that off as well. Now, I don't know whether you're going to get a full picture of the blanket, because obviously I haven't got it here to show you in full life, but hopefully it will make sense when I talk you through the pictures. Right.